Welcome, everybody, to NFC North West Coast Edition, and it's going to be a good one today.
I don't know where my bag is.
You know, it feels like every season there's 1 week in the NFL that just like upends the entire league, and I think this was that week. The NFC North has been completely blown open after this past weekend's game, and it's going to get interesting. It's going to get even juicier as we progress down the season because now everybody's going to have a ton of divisional games coming up, and it's going to get wild in the NFC North divisional race for sure.
You jinxed us. You jinxed us big time.
I mean, I kind of did that on purpose.
I mean, it almost worked for you guys too. So we'll talk about.
Yeah, for sure. All right, where do we even start? I think you said it. Let's start with the Panthers-Packers game. And Panthers coming into Green Bay as 14-point underdogs. And the skedaddle out of Green Bay with a 16-13 win over the Packers.
I have a lot of notes.
All right, start.
And
is it stats? Are you going to go down the stat line?
What stats? I have a lot of notes.
Okay.
I just need to prefix by saying every single note ends with Matt LaFleur. I love Matt LaFleur, but it ends with Matt LaFleur.
So FMLF.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll get a shirt made. I'll get some posters in the back. Anyways, yeah, this game was terrible. This was a terrible, terrible game. And there were flashes where the offense could move. Like, Jordan Love had no problem getting yards. He had every problem in the end zone. And everything that could go wrong went wrong. And we continue having the same problems that we've had in the last few weeks. They were exacerbated in this game.
Yeah.
More specifically, our special teams.
Yeah, it definitely felt like, okay, so it was tough this week to catch, all 3 games because, of course, all 4 teams played at the same time. I did tune in and out, and I watched the highlights, and the first half, it kind of felt like the Packers' MO, right? We've talked about it over and over again where they start off slow, but they're still in the game come halftime. And to be honest, it really felt like, yep, they're not playing their best game. I mean, Panthers, to be honest, didn't play their best game either.
No.
Just yet again, Rico Dowdle is just demolishing.
Did you say? So there's a Key and Peele skit where they're basically making fun of refs on how they're overly sensitive. And in the skit, one of them is a football player and one's a ref, and one of them does a triple pump. But he starts off with 1 pump, 2 pump, and then you just hear the announcers, if he gets 1 more pump, he's going to get the flag. He's going to get the flag.
I've seen that.
So Rico did the pumps. He did 1, and on the second one, flag. So Key has come out and said, man, they gypped you. They gypped you. You needed 1 more pump.
Yeah, you should have got 1 more in there.
Got 1 more pump.
But yeah, interesting game.
That was the highlight of the game, by the way.
Ransom takes the snap, and it's a shovel pass to McCringleberry, who he's at the 10, he's at the 5, and touchdown Rhino!
Oh my, great block by Hardunka.
Right here today, Jeff.
You gotta love the way this guy plays, and
see, now there's 1 pump.
Uh-oh.
Well, I cannot believe this kid.
You gotta put your team first in situations like this, and McCringleberry's just not doing that.
There's 2. Jeff, now if he pumps a 3rd time, he will draw his 3rd penalty for today. Everybody here, waiting with bated breath.
He did it!
Oh, did he?
Yes, he did it!
Oh, that's
He
just
couldn't help
that's just
himself.
amazing. I mean, come on, in professional football, it's really
a shame.
Yes,
That's what it is.
Yes,
you
it
can
is.
argue all you want, but the flag, well, it's been thrown.
That's right. If it's 3 pumps, the ref's not going to take it away.
No,
now,
he's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
We also used our throwback uniforms, our
what did
jerseys.
you think about those?
They did the best they could, but they don't look great. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to diss our tradition and our history. We have better throwback uniforms or better throwback jerseys.
Yeah, I was doing like a little research on it, and I was like, Yeah, 1923 jerseys need to stay at 1923.
Well, it was fitting. We played like it was 1923 with those janitors and custodians because it didn't play great.
I will say I do like the concept of the helmet of being like the old time helmets, but at the same time, yeah, no, they were almost as bad as the Steelers jerseys the week before.
Oh no, okay.
No, they were.
No.
The Steelers ones were terrible, and those
the Steelers ones
like,
look like they just put yellow tape on everyone.
Yeah, but I mean, I just. Yeah,
I think it's worse for the. Well, I mean, actually, you're right. It's bad for both teams because they're historic, old teams that have great jerseys.
Yeah.
What the hell was that?
Yeah, I want to know who like wakes up one day and says, "All right, guys, everybody, we're gonna pick our throwback jersey this year." And who decided those two?
I don't know, man. Who decided? Let's go with the Caca Browns.
I don't. Yeah, not a fan of them.
They had to think about it too, because they had to get Romeo Dobbs the net that goes over the Halo cap.
I mean, they matched it.
It matched it. It matched.
They did it. They did it. He might as well have just worn the cap because then that's your real 1923 helmet. Because I mean, they didn't have helmets; they were leather caps.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You might as well
just put the leather cap over the Halo.
I mean, that's the true throwback jersey right there.
I'm not gonna lie though, it actually kind of looked better with the cap, the net over it, than the original like helmet, the Halo helmet.
Yeah. So, I mean, clearly not a great week.
Oh, by the way,
for the Packers,
I do like that he wears that Halo helmet. I'm never making fun of any player trying to be safe. He's been on the field, hasn't had a concussion ever since, so I'm cool with it. Not making fun of that. Just that.
Yeah.
It looked ugly.
Yeah, and I mean, devastating loss for the Packers too, with Tucker Kraft torn ACL. So that's gonna be he is basically, so you know how we've been talking about how there hasn't really been in my opinion, there hasn't been a number one receiver that's come out of, the Packers locker room, and it felt like Tucker Kraft had really started to establish that over the past couple weeks, especially, the what's the word I'm looking, the chemistry with Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And
you could tell that it affected him a lot. In the second half when he didn't have him, he couldn't move the ball the same way.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things where, again, this is something that we talked about in preseason of who's going to be that emerging number one receiver for the Packers. And, Matt LaFleur has always said they all can step up. They all can. But it's kind of been proven that it's not working out. And,
here's the thing. Maybe they could all step up, but not in every scenario. In moments where you need a touchdown. This is 2-minute warning, win the game. Not every wide receiver is going to step up. And we saw this. We were in the red zone. We needed someone to have some separation, and no one could. Yeah. And then the only player that might be able to get some separation got pulled out. You had Golden got pulled out with a shoulder injury. The only player that you trust to throw 50-50 balls to, Kraft, he's out for the season. So you lost two of your most reliable players, and the defense is just double up Romeo Dobbs. He's not that type of player.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll get into the Bears game here after, but one of the things that Ben Johnson had said after is, it's not easy to win NFL games, and it doesn't matter what the records are. Again, these are all professional football players. Yes. They all have made it to the NFL. When you think about it, 53 roster spots, and there's 32 teams. So think about the amount of people that play football in college, and these are the guys that made it
thousands
to the
and
next,
thousands and thousands, and so, not that many could make it at the end of the.
Yeah, and so I don't know, it's just been one of those things because one of the storylines specifically been coming out about the Bears is, you played garbage teams the past couple weeks. Well, the logic isn't logicking, right? Because they talk about the Commanders. Well, the Commanders beat the Chargers. All right?
Yeah.
They talk about, we beat Dallas. Well, I mean, you guys had a tie. They talk about, just how people kind of like assess NFL games to me is
here's the thing,
oddly weird.
I mean, didn't the Eagles lose to the Falcons or some?
The Eagles lost to the Giants, and the Giants are like 2-6 now, or something like that. So again,
or the Bills lost to some nobody team too. So it happens.
Yeah, Yeah, who did the Bills lose?
I think they lost to the Falcons.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah. So again,
It happens. I think that we're gonna have those types of games. Like everyone has those types of games. Here's the concern, though: those teams adapt and they move forward. It looks like the Packers are just kind of coasting at times.
mhm.
And yeah, I do think that they have the possibility to move and become a better offense. But just like my notes say, Matt LaFleur, I think he's starting to really hold this team back. And yes, Jordan Love did throw a really, really, really bad pick. I'll give it to you. He threw it, ended up coming back to the 40. I get it.
So Canales loses the challenge and he loses a timeout. Love off the fake, taking another deep shot into double coverage, underthrown to Trayvon Merrick. Interception by Jordan Love.
But sometimes that's going to happen. He threw it really deep, bad throw, happened. But that doesn't mean that in third and long situations you do bubble screens, and he did it again. It doesn't mean that in third and fives you're going to do halfback screens. It's not going to work. If your offense is struggling, what makes you think that these little gimmicky things are going to work? Sometimes you have to throw it deep if nothing else is available.
So do you just think it's his like play calling that is
I think that
holding him back? Or
Situationally, he's becoming a mess. So I'll give you an example. We went for it on 4th and 6th
Mhm.
when there was 8 minutes left. We were down by a score.
Mhm.
Cool. And we went for it. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, we had situations in the game that it's like 2 yards and you kick you kick it. But when there's 8 minutes left, you have your full timeouts, you go for it on 4th and 6.
Mm.
And then he calls a dumb screenplay. Wow. Like, I just don't understand what your logic is. That's a good defense. Let's be honest. The Panthers have a good defense.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a bubble screen or a halfback screen on 4th and 6 to go all the way to the end zone. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, in my opinion, I mean, like the Browns have a good defense, but again, they just can't really move the ball. They don't
Yeah.
have any sustained drives, so it puts a lot of pressure on their defense. But I have thought that in the Packers schedule, this was the best defense that they have played so far because I think it's a very underrated defense. They have a
Yeah.
lot of young defensive players
yeah.
and they just continue to improve.
Oh, yeah. But that's the thing. That's why you don't do these gimmicky ass plays. They have so much athleticism that you're not going to get these on them. They're going to catch up to you.
Yeah.
And Matt LaFleur, like I said, he went for it on 4th down. So he's aggressive when he shouldn't be aggressive. We should have kicked the field goal and we would have been down by 4 points.
hmm
And then we got the ball back. And then we tried to score and all this mess happens. We did end up scoring. And that's how we got the tie. Or
Yeah.
we got up by 1, whatever the hell it was.
hmm
No, we tied. We
Yeah.
tied.
Yeah.
And then we gave them enough time to be able to come and get this field goal.
hmm
And then when we're doing the field goal, when they were setting up for that field goal, they still had full timeouts. They still had everything. And Matt LaFleur was kind of like egging them on, like, just let your rookie kick it. He wasn't calling his own timeouts. He was holding on to his timeouts.
hmm
But the reality is they were already at the 49-yard line. Call a timeout in case they do make that kick. You have an opportunity. But he didn't want them to potentially move the ball forward. But as we saw with some of these games, right?
hmm
Mistakes happen. You give the offense an opportunity to make a mistake because if they make a mistake, you turn the ball over and now you have a chance to win. But instead, he egged them on, didn't call the timeout, let the time go all the way down, and the kid kicked in that 49-yard field goal. That's how we lost. So I hope he liked saving that timeout. Didn't really help us.
Is it? I mean, in your opinion, what's more concerning at this point, the offense or the defense?
It changes every game. I think that the offense has an opportunity to move a lot faster in the next few games, considering that we get Reed back. We just got Watson back. We'll get Matthew Golden back in the next week or two. I think Kraft's going to be a massive loss. I do mean that. But getting Jaden Reed back is going to help a lot. I don't know about the defense. Like, I think they have enough players that they could turn the ball over at times. They could stop certain offenses. But our secondary is so inconsistent that I think the team should just know, throw the ball quick and throw it deep. They're not going to be able to make a play.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, again, something that we talked about preseason and, the early weeks of the NFL is I just think the secondary is starting to get real sus.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I don't know. All right. Anything else we want to talk about for the super thrilling Panthers-Packers game?
Fuck Matt LaFleur. I got some notes. Let me check real quick.
All right. You get those notes.
Okay. Tucker Kraft got injured. Matt LaFleur. Wind was a huge factor, so we chose to go, and we didn't kick correctly, and we put the kicker that keeps on missing in. So Matt LaFleur. Let's see. We couldn't move the ball, and we kept on giving the ball to Savion Williams, who is a rookie who fumbled the ball immediately when we were in our end zone. Matt LaFleur. Bubble screen to Matthew Golden for -2 yards. Matt LaFleur. And yeah, we let a kicker beat us on one of the most boring games of the season. Matt LaFleur. I don't know where my bag is and I miss it. It's
All
my
right.
emotional support.
All right. So I guess your biggest problem right now is coaching.
Yeah. Right now, coaching is interesting. I appreciate him, but you know what feeling it's giving me? It's giving me the same feeling or early feelings, that red flag that Mike McCarthy started giving me.
Mm-hmm.
Matt LaFleur is not there yet, but he's teetering on that. He's getting to the point where I'm like, ugh. Okay, maybe you should give away play calling abilities because it's not working out, man. Anyways, Matt LaFleur.
Alrighty, thank you for that segment. That's what we call the Matt LaFleur segment. FMLF. Did I do that right? Yep, FMLF.
I'm gonna do a
segment
little music in the back.
All right, well, let's move on to our next Week 9 recap, and we'll go to the Bears at Cincy. First of all, okay, the Bears going to Cincinnati, and we come out on top in one of the most heart attack-wise games for Bears fans, but thrilling game if you're just a casual watching and have no investment in either team. What a very exciting game for you. But Bears coming out on top, 47-42. Crazy amount of points. The defense just didn't show up. We'll say that. They decided to take the day off. But yeah, I had about 7 heart attacks in the fourth quarter. And after the opening kickoff was returned, I was like, oh, okay. It's going to be one of those games. Got it. It's going to be like, I already knew after the first play.
I thought I jinxed you guys correctly. And it just.
And oh my gosh. Let's just if you didn't watch this game, just watch like the last 4 or 5 minutes of this game because it is wild and
it honestly was a game to see who could collapse more because you're onside kick.
Yeah. Let me take you through the last like 5 minutes of this game really quick. Okay.
Gotcha.
First of all, the last 5, every minute took a year off my life. So I have 5 less years on my life after these minutes. It was incredibly frustrating, incredibly like high anxiety, PTSD. Like it was just all around bad.
That's how I felt for the Dodgers this last week.
Oh God. Fuck the Dodgers, bro. Why you gotta bring them up?
World champion.
$1 billion roster, baby. Buy some more. God, dude.
Yeah, sure. But
sure, that's facts.
They went against a top 5 salary cap team. It's not like they went against one of the bottom teams.
They also went against Toronto was the worst team in baseball last year. So the fact that they turned it around.
Oh, I love Toronto, but at the same time, the last 8 years they've been one of the highest spenders. They had a bad year last year, I'll give it that, but they've been one of the highest spenders.
What is their total salary compared to the Dodgers
this year?
Yeah,
500 to 375 million.
Okay, you proved my point.
The Mets have a higher salary, and they didn't make it. I mean, the Yankees have a higher
this specific. Okay, the bigger picture this year. Okay, but again, they didn't spend $1 billion on players.
Neither did the Dodgers.
Yes, they combined the contracts that they have added up with Ohtani,
it would be the same
Yamamoto.
It would be
I forget his name, Sasaki or something like that.
It would be this. He's not getting paid like they are. It would be the same thing, or almost the same thing, like in the NFL when you do signing bonus and then you start pushing those guarantees 10 years down the line, like the Chiefs did with.
I'm not going down this road again. Let's get back to why we're here. And so this is NFC North podcast, not a Los Angeles Dodgers podcast.
But we're also West Coast edition, and the West Coast just won.
Oh my god, dude. All right. As I was saying, going back to the last 5 minutes, okay? So, up 14 with less than 5 minutes left. Then you're like, okay, all right, we're looking good. 2:40 left in the game. Tremaine Edmonds gets the pick, runs it all the way back, and then we're like, all right, pick 6. We got it in the bag. Game over. No. He was graced. Fingertips graced his body as he went to the ground. So, called that back. Typical, we play conservative. We run the ball to force the Bengals to take their timeouts, which, again, we're up 2 scores. I'm okay with that. It's situational football. I get it. Okay. All right. Then the Bengals score. They get the 2-point conversion. And then you're like, okay, all right. It's fine. It's going to be okay. We have the onside kick. It's going to be okay. Then they recover the onside kick.
You know how it ended against the Jets last week? Just a crushing finish. McPherson lines up, looking for the bounce. Football live. Who's got it?
I don't think it went 10 yards.
Did it go 10?
No, it didn't go 10 yards.
Didn't believe that it went at first blush.
The ball died, and unless the Bears touch it first. Number 92.
Let's quickly bring in Gene's territory. Gene, take us through.
I'm looking at Daniel Hardy's right toe as well, right there. I think he is first to touch right at that point, even though the ball's gone 9 yards. Live football at that point. You take a look here, watch the right toe, Daniel Hardy left foot. I'm sorry, there's a left foot graze right there on the football.
The thing is that onside kick only worked because one of your players touched it like
terrible coaching. Coaching. At that point, if you know the ball is not reaching 10 yards, get the F out of the way.
Yeah.
You get out of the way.
But here's the thing. Why were they so deep in? I get it. Don't touch it. I understand all that. But stay behind or near that line and don't get near it. They were like 5 yards deep. You're like, what are you guys doing?
I don't know. I don't know if that's part of the formation that they have to line up in. But, all right. So then it's just like, okay. Now it's like the PTSD is really starting to set in. Because I'm like, here we go again. Our defense has, again, both defenses took the day off today or that day.
Oh, yeah, they didn't show up.
So it was like, all right, well, they're probably going to go down and score.
But here's the thing, though. The Bengals are known for not having a good defense. The Bears were known for having, this year they've been doing pretty good on their defense.
Yeah, but our secondary is demolished, so we've just been kind of getting torched lately. I mean, we're down to like 3rd and 4th string cornerbacks. I mean, Tyreek Stevenson did come back this game, but he didn't really play a good game.
To be fair, it's hard to shut down those 2 wide receivers. Chase and Higgins are two of the best.
Well, and Flacco has a lot of experience. He knows how to read defenses. So when you have that much experience in the NFL, and then you have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, it's like,
no, that makes sense.
He's gonna get them the ball. He's gonna find ways, and he had a lot of nice throws. I mean, they were good balls, and then the other times, I mean, the one play where T. Higgins, like literally, like Nashawn Wright, it was great coverage, and T. Higgins and Nashawn Wright doesn't typically have great coverage. Let me throw that out there. But he just came away with it. It was just a great play by T. Higgins. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so they score. Now they're winning. And now you're like, great, awesome. So
They're
now,
up by 1, right?
yeah. So now it's like, okay, there's 25 seconds left on the clock. Just get into field goal range. And now let's leave it into the hands of Cairo Santos, who, by the way, has had some blocked field goals these past year. Okay. So again, it's like detrimental at this point. And like I said, it just years and years off of my life because Bears fans have lived this for so long, and so it's like, all right. And then Caleb runs for a first down. We're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay. Then there's 17 seconds left. And we're like, all right, we just need a little bit more yardage. And then he throws Colston Loveland seam route, beautiful ball.
Of course.
And then he catches it and you're like, field goal range. And then he bounces off like 3 defenders and runs for a touchdown.
Some of the worst defending I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that was awful. That was awful.
More than 2 plays and get your field goal unit on the field if this ball is completed or the clock is running.
Williams slings it. Williams. Loveland bangs off his man. He's going to score.
Home.
Colston Loveland in a jaw dropper. 58 yards on the catch and run from the rookie.
But then again, time is still on the clock, and now it's like, Hail Mary time. Here we go. PTSD. Because we all know what happened last year. So luckily, I think we finally played it well, and we got a little pressure, and we didn't allow Joe Flacco. I mean, Joe Flacco, so we didn't allow him to scramble for 3 hours.
I don't know if he could throw it deeper than 40 yards.
I mean, he used to have a really good arm.
No, he does, but he's up there in age. I don't know if he could do a deep arc 60-yarder down to the end zone.
Sure. And so once that ball came down short, it was like, yes. So very exciting, but again, very stressful. And
this game could have gone either way at the end. And
absolutely.
I didn't even know who I was rooting for. Like, trust me, part of me was like, okay, I want the Bears to lose. The other part was like, oh, I got Loveland in my fantasy team. And he got me the points that didn't matter at the end. Anyways.
Yeah.
But both teams were trying their best to win and lose at the same time.
Yeah, like I said, I don't really know. I mean, I get it that the Bears defense is banged up, but it just was like wide open and just terrible coverage. Yeah. And they got to clean that up. I mean, I do like that Jaquan Brisker even came out and, he like made a shout out to a couple of the rookies who obviously had a monster game or monster games. And someone said like, yo, but that defense, and he's like, that's not us, and we're going to clean it up because that's not our identity. So that was encouraging to see that even though, we came out with the win, they know they didn't play well, and they know that there's a ton of things that they got to improve. But, a couple things I'll highlight after, the very stressful fourth quarter. But like I said, defensively, both teams just took the day off, so that was cool. Special teams, I just have a note here. Also horrendous. Bad. Give up the opening kickoff. They like had several good kick returns.
Yeah, they did.
And our I don't know what it is, but Devin Duvernay looks like he's running in slow motion a lot of the times. So we got to be better on our kick returns. But coverage was terrible.
Did they
gave up the onside kick, and the Bengals they returned the opening kickoff. It was again bad. So Richard Hightower better have a little fire lit under his because his unit did not play well this week. And then offensively, I mean, when you have a non-existent defense, I would hope we have a good game, but I got to give some credit. Caleb had a day, 20 for 34, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a receiving touchdown. So that was pretty cool. Finally using
do that, Tom Brady.
Finally using his legs, 5 rushes for 53 yards.
We've been
So,
talking about that for a few weeks now.
yeah. So you know, this game has shown how effective it can be because look at he ran for the first down on the final drive of the game to set up
Yeah.
the game winning touchdown. And I don't think if he like throws, then you're in a 4th and 10 situation and it's just bad, right?
Yeah.
So crucial moment in the game to run there. You know, I think another interesting thing about this game was Ben Johnson kind of went into his bag of tricks. So, you know, like uh DJ Moore throwing the touchdown to Caleb Williams. That was pretty exciting to see. And then they had
So
another.
I didn't get to see that, and I was just trying to figure out how that stat line happened.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so he had a couple trick plays. He had another play where like Tyson Bagents was lined up on the outside. Caleb threw it to him and then went off and like went out. And then Tyson looked down the field. It obviously wasn't there and threw it back to Caleb and Caleb ran for a first down.
Yeah.
So he had like, I think like, I don't know, like 22 receiving yards or something in this game. So that was pretty neat. And I like to see that Ben Johnson is slowly implementing those creative like trick plays. But the main thing I want to highlight is the rookies, right? So breakout games for
Monaghan.
Kyle Monangai and Colson Loveland. Monangai 26 rushes for 176 yards
Yeah.
and 3 catches for 22 yards. He was just the bell cow of the day, and it showed. I like that. I mean, and you know, of course, it's one game, but if he doesn't get more playing time
Yeah,
after today's game, then
do
we're
you-
just drastically short.
Do
You know,
you
short
think
ourselves.
that this is the glass shattering moment for Ben Johnson to be like, he's our guy now? He's the starter now.
Not quite, because I do think that DeAndre Swift can be a little bit more elusive and explosive in that sense. Like if you get him in space, I think that, you know, DeAndre Swift can
So
maybe make things happen. But from like a 2nd, 3rd down type back, I mean,
or maybe he could use him like he did with Jameer Gibbs and Monty.
yeah, correct. Yeah. I mean,
Monty got what?
Yeah.
The last year of Ben
Yeah.
Johnson's tenure, he got what, 17 touchdowns?
I
rushing?
wish Swift could be like Gibbs, but I don't.
I mean, Gibbs is probably top 3 running back in the league
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, but really exciting, really happy for Kyle to have that breakout
Have a
game.
day, kid. Have
Yep.
a day.
And then Colson Loveland, 6 receptions for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns, including the game-winning touchdown. So it was nice to see. I'm happy that we finally got the Loveland breakout game because, of course, we were getting a lot of heat about that. You know, like why aren't you using your 10th overall pick? Myself included. I'm one of those people. So it was nice to kind of see them, you know, be
Well,
utilized.
I needed a tight end this week, and I was shocked that he was in the waiver wires. So I'm like, cool.
I mean, he hasn't really been doing much lately. So
I know, but I think not Kraft. What's your backup? Your starting tight end? Your other
Cole
one?
Kmet.
Cole Kmet. He was out, right? He was out from a concussion from last week.
He got a concussion last week, but he did play. He did play, but he actually got re-injured, and we
Oof.
think it's like because he kind of got hit in like the neck area. So I think it's like back into concussion protocol. Here we come. So
Well-
yeah,
I hope he comes back soon. Though. I do like him a lot.
yeah. I don't think Cole's good. So, but yeah, pretty crazy day for Bears fans, and
Craziest 4 minutes of the season so far.
yeah, that was definitely a wild ending, and
I fun game. I only watched the last 10 minutes because again I was watching my game. I watched the last 10 minutes and I'm like, how the is any of this happening? Like I don't know how.
yeah, like I said, very stressful. And the one thing I will say is we just continue to prove that we'll fight till the very end.
Yep.
And, that's not something that, I mean, it's to me, that's a character thing, right? And characters of teams are really built around the character of the head coach. And
Well,
it's one of those culture things, right? And so it just shows that they believe in Ben and they believe in each other, and they're going to keep fighting until the very last seconds. And one thing that's it's like treading unfamiliar waters, because it's almost like I'm slowly starting to believe. I'm not there yet because I still have a lot of PTSD, but I'm slowly starting to believe that if we're within one score in the last few minutes of the game, we might actually win. And this is not something that
opposite of previous years with the
Bears. Exactly. And so again, I'm not there 100%. It's like it's gonna take a while for the PTSD to like simmer down and be able to cope with it. But it's unfamiliar waters, like I said, for sure. So
it's a crazy division. We're all within a game.
Yeah, very crazy division.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our last game for our Week 9 recap. We have an interdivisional matchup between the Vikings and the Lions. Vikings playing in Detroit, and they leave Detroit with the win, 27-24.
The Lions lost at Ford Field.
Yeah. Give a sound cue.
We're doing that again.
Yeah, I should
have done that for my team too, to be fair.
So, I mean, let's start with the Vikings, because I don't think a lot of people. Oh, I was like, who's back there?
I'm showing the camera.
I don't think I mean, if you're a Vikings fan, right, you always believe that you're gonna win games, especially interdivisional games. But the rest of the NFL did not have the Vikings coming out on top, on the road, especially how they've been playing the past couple weeks. So, gotta give the Vikings credit, because they showed up to play, and it was one of those it was complimentary football.
Oh yeah,
every unit had a big part in their win. From the offense, like they got a little boost with JJ McCarthy coming back.
That rushing touchdown,
beautiful. I was gonna say his athleticism definitely gives them, a bigger boost than Carson Wentz.
Yeah. We talked a lot about JJ, but he does things like these, like come back against you guys. This game where he had control of the game. If he's able to lead his whole team this way, Vikings have a bright future. We don't know yet, but this game looked good.
Yeah, I mean,
there's some moments. I get it, he's a kid.
Yeah, definitely. And here's the beauty of also having like two premier wide receivers in Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. He didn't have a lot of accurate balls, to be honest. There was a lot of balls that were overthrown or underthrown, and Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, and Jalen Naylor, in fact, because he had a ball that was severely underthrown and turned back and made a great play on it. So, they're helping their quarterback out, which is great.
But against the Lions have been a pretty good defense this year. Against that defense, he still got 2 touchdowns. He got 1 pick. I got it.
Yeah.
Might not have been the most accurate, but when they needed him to make a play, he made a play.
Yeah.
And that's more than I could say about Carson Wentz.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, getting Aaron Jones back and he looked good. So that's another big boost for the Vikings. So, it's starting to fall in place a little bit there. I think they had one of their best defensive games, 5 sacks for a loss of 44 yards. Not, when you have explosive.
They were mad from last week.
Yeah, when you have explosive players on the Lions and you're able to get to the quarterback that quickly, that's a huge advantage to your game. Also contained Detroit's rushing game. Gibbs had 9 rushes for 25 yards, and Monty had 11 rushes for 40 yards and a touchdown, but 65 total rushing yards from this duo. I mean, tall task, and they executed with perfection. And then again, complimentary football. Special teams showed up as well. They had a blocked field goal. They set up, when the Lions could have brought it within 4 in the 4th quarter. So they also had some nice run backs. I mean, overall, great game by the Vikings.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to play that kind of football, especially on the road and especially interdivision.
I think the money was on the Lions completely. I don't think anyone, like, you know, when they do the predicting or, oh,
Yeah.
we picked them, we picked no
Yeah.
one, not one single person
Yeah,
picked.
I think they were at least, I think maybe like 9.5 point favorite. They were definitely not as like favorited as the Packers,
Of
but they
course.
they were like pretty
We were a
significantly.
2-score favorite.
Yeah, they were a pretty significant favorite, but yeah, I mean,
And that's what's so frustrating and confusing. You expect these games to go in a certain way, and actually, it's not even frustrating. It's more like in this division, we don't know who the top dog is.
mhm.
I think you could beat us. I think we could beat you. I think the Vikings could beat the Lions and vice versa. And it doesn't matter if you're at home. The Vikings just proved that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've always said this, interdivisional games can go either way. It really doesn't matter what records are. These teams know each other so well, and there's a lot of pride within the divisions, and people want to come out on top. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, on the Viking side, the Lion side pretty much just did exact opposite of everything I just highlighted from the Vikings. Like they did not play a good overall game. They
They're-
looked flat-footed coming out of their bye week,
yeah.
and I don't know. Again,
This is the second week where their the rushing game was just null. There was nothing happening there.
yeah, and that's something that you think that they would be working on in the bye week,
Yeah.
right? It's knowing what the game plan is, especially against, like, I compare it to the Bears bye week, right? We were terrible in rushing yards for the first 4 games of the season. I think we had week 5 bye. And we came out week 6 and it was like boom. I don't know
Yeah.
if that was our exact bye week, but you get my gist. Is you can tell that we really worked on the run game in the bye week, and I don't know. The Lions didn't look ready to go. They had 10 penalties for 76 yards, which is not characteristic of them.
Yep.
They made timely mistakes. They couldn't convert on 3rd down. I mean, at this point, now their entire offensive line looks banged up. So they got some things to clean up. We've always said that the O-line for the Lions, they have good depth, but I think they're starting to run out of their depth.
Yes.
Because
And something that I know the score makes it seem like this game was a lot closer than it was.
Mhm.
And you know what? The Lions, to their credit, they almost pulled a comeback, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That finally, but it didn't help me. Jamison
Oh,
Williams
yeah.
finally caught a touchdown.
Yeah.
A couple good returns, a blocked field goal would set up their last field goal. Lions need this. Goff throwing for Jamison Williams. He's got it! Diving to the end zone. Is he in? Touchdown. No, they're going to say he's down at the 2. Wow. What balance from Jamison Williams. Nope, he's in. He's in all day. That is a touchdown.
Comeback.
Mhm.
Not like you guys or anything, but the
I
point
wouldn't
I'm trying to get at is this game wasn't this close. For the most part, the Vikings controlled most of the game. And then when it mattered most again, the Vikings were able to convert to just ice it and take a knee. The reason I bring this up with the Lions is this is now 3 games that they've looked really bad.
Mm.
And yes, you've lost and you're expected. It's first-year coach. The Packers have lost by 3-3. Not excusable. Stupid losses. But neither team are expected to lose. The way that the Lions lost to the Chiefs, the way they lost to the Vikings, and the way they lost to the Packers, that's 3 really concerning losses. And I'm more concerned about them now than I was after the Packers lost.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I do want to, like, I wouldn't say the Vikings were in control in this game. I do think you could tell they were playing better football, but because
I
the
was
Lions,
tempo-wise that they were controlling the ball more. The Lions seemed to be getting in their own way.
I think time of possession was pretty similar. And I think the Lions actually had more total yards,
Oh yeah.
but I'm pretty sure the time of possession was pretty similar. Just the Vikings,
Yeah, but when you go 3rd down, 5 of
that-
17,
that's what I was saying, is they couldn't convert on 3rd down.
total plays even. They allowed 5 sacks in each way. 5 punts for the Lions, 76 yards and penalties for the Lions.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Pretty equal on the possession time.
yeah, so what I was like just getting at is I'm not trying to take anything away from the Vikings because they played a great game, but it's also I compare it to like the Bears when they just shoot themselves in the foot,
Gotcha.
and that's what I was saying about like couldn't convert on third downs, 10 penalties,
Couldn't rush.
yeah, so it just the only way I can chalk it up to is that they just didn't look ready. Just like they didn't look ready week 1, the Chiefs
They also didn't look ready against Chiefs, though.
Well, I think the difference there for me is they're going into obviously a very tough playing environment, and we knew the Chiefs were going to come out desperate, and they just played
and the
with
Vikings
more.
were desperate on this one.
Yeah, they just played with more energy. The Chiefs that game, and the Lions failed to match that energy. But again, to me, it was just like they didn't come out prepared. So I chalk 2 of them as didn't come out prepared, and I chalk one of them, one of the losses as just didn't match the physicality and energy of their opponent.
But here's the thing, like, I'm not saying they're not going to make the playoffs, but we're expecting this team to be a Super Bowl team, and Super Bowl teams don't lose.
Are we?
I mean, not we, but like the league expects them. They're considered a top contender.
Yeah, I guess they're considered contender. But again, we've been seeing a lot of contenders just have bad losses. And
yeah, but none of the contenders have had 3 bad losses. It's 1 bad loss, and you're like, okay, it happens, especially in a divisional, so I can understand this loss. But the Bills aren't losing 3 really terrible games like that.
Yeah.
The Packers, you could probably pull them out of that contention because they've lost stupid games by 3 points, but they haven't got their ass beat either. Let's put the Eagles. I don't think they lost 1 bad game to the Giants. Besides that, they haven't continuously lost really bad games.
I mean, I would consider their loss to Denver pretty bad. They were pretty
Denver's
much
a good team, though.
Yeah, but they were in control most of that game, and they just stopped. It's almost like they stopped playing in the second half, then let Denver come from behind in the fourth quarter and essentially steal that win.
But I feel like the Lions are the only team that are allowing these massive. Again, they shouldn't have lost to the Packers the way they did. That's a bad loss, and then the Chiefs had no momentum. So if you expect me to think that they're not you, but the league, that they're a Super Bowl team, I got some questions, and I just don't think that the Lions have answered them yet.
Well, I think that's what was kind of like the beautiful part about this week, right? Is this NFC North division is, like I said, completely blown open, and it's really going to come down to the divisional games, which, last year it really did as well, so that's not surprising. But yeah, we're basically past the halfway point of the NFL season, and now and I don't know, the NFL is funny this way because the past couple years this is how it's been. It's like we play each other a couple times, and then the second half of the season is just like divisional game after divisional game after divisional game. And, that's where we're going to see the grit come out. And
we get the Vikings, not in 2 weeks, not yet, but we get the Vikings, then the Lions, then you guys.
Yeah, we play like 2 out of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get 1 week off by going against the Broncos, and then we go against you again.
Yeah, there's tough schedules coming up for most of us here. So let's do a week 10. What's coming up, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not prepared. Usually I have this ready to go. All right. So we have the Bears are going to be playing at home against the Giants, who Jackson Dart is doing some things over there. So that's going to be
Scatterboo, though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. The chemistry with Scat and him were just it was unmatched for sure.
Yeah.
Then you have the Ravens playing in Minnesota against the Vikings. So that's going to be a tough matchup for them with Lamar Jackson returning to the lineup.
Oof. Yeah.
Then you got the Lions playing away at Washington Commanders, but now Jaden. Yeah. Ugh, that was a brutal injury, man.
Why do you, if they're losing by that much, why would you put your number 1 offensive piece back into the game?
Yeah, Dan Quinn definitely
he that one up.
Yeah, and he knew it and he came out about it. So I respect that he owned up to that. And then Monday night, we got the Packers playing at home against the Eagles. So tons of interesting matchups here. Yeah. Yeah. This is some
Is
tough,
this the week that we all go?
this is some tough games here. No, I think without Jaden Daniels, I think
the Lions win
yeah,
this
I
one,
think the
yeah.
Lions win.
I don't think the Vikings against.
The thing is, the Ravens defense has been playing better the past couple. The earlier part of the season, they were awful, but I think ever since Roquan Smith came back, their defense has gotten a little bit better. But yeah, if they can't contain Lamar Jackson, though, I think that's going to be an issue for the Vikings. I mean, if they can do what they did with Derrick Henry this week and what they did with the Lions rushing attack, then they'll be in it for sure. Bears and Giants, I mean, we didn't have a defense last week, so unless we can score 47 points again or the defense decides to not take the day off, then we should,
I am going 50%.
50%.
50%.
And then Eagles and Philly, that'll be a good one.
Is it at Packers or is
Yes.
it
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
All right,
Remember
cool.
I told you this. I said we play the same teams, but all of
I get
our teams are away, and all of your teams play at home when you play those guys.
We just lost at home to the Panthers. I don't even know if it helps us anymore.
Well, it does. Okay, it really does, especially now that we're getting into the winter months. I mean, we still have another month,
think
but
this is a tough matchup, though, and I think that
I think all of them are going to be
Oh,
tough matchups. Besides the Lions Commanders, sorry, Eddie might jinx you there, but I really think without.
There's no way that the Lions lose to the Commanders.
Just
There's no. Who's their backup quarterback?
Marcus Mariota. Unless there's another younger guy that I don't know about, which is possible, but I'm pretty sure it's Marcus Mariota.
Can they go trade? Well, the trade deadline's gone. They could have got Flacco.
Yeah. Speaking of the trade deadline, the NFC North really didn't make any major moves. The Bears did pick up one pass rusher from the Cleveland Browns. I already forgot his name. Not really familiar with him, but he's played. I think this is his 5th year in the NFL. Played 4 years. What is his name? Oh,
Hey,
gosh.
Joe
Tryon Shoyinka. Probably butchering
Gutekunst
that.
said that he called a lot of teams, and I'm trying to figure out so he could try to get a cornerback. And I'm trying to figure out what do we have to trade? We don't have any picks.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Very true. Maybe one of your wide receivers. See, you got plenty of those. Yeah,
They're kind of broken right now, so it's gonna take a little bit.
but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what next week looks like. I'll be with you 50%. I honestly think, oh man, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. But here's the one positive news for the Packers, right? They stay on top in the standings. All right. So NFC North standings 5-2-1 for the Packers on top. Second place Lions 5-3, Bears third 5-3, and then the Vikings 4-4. But what's interesting about this is you have divisionally the Packers are 1-0, the Lions are 1-2, the Bears are 0-2, and the Vikings are 2-0.
Ooh, so the Vikings are technically in that lead in our division. So
yeah, so if the Vikings keep stacking wins, it's looking it's looking pretty promising for them. So definitely,
and we start seeing them. You start seeing. Ooh, it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So
let's figure. Any other division, we make the playoffs immediately.
Yeah. The drama continues in the NFC North. So stay tuned, folks, for the rest of this season because there's gonna be some major upsets. There's gonna be some major victories and glory days, and then some of us are going to be very happy at the end of the season, and some of us are going to be very depressed and sad at the end of the season. So
a world where we're all over like 10 wins, and one of us still doesn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, the Bears' remaining schedule is really tough. I haven't really dug into the remainder of the other NFC North teams, but I can imagine that it's gonna get pretty tough here.
We think we go against the Vikings to finish our year, but we go against you once in the last few weeks.
Mm.
So it's getting there. We're gonna figure out. I think you're probably gonna try to either we're gonna try to ruin your season so you don't make the playoffs, or you're gonna try to do the same like last year.
It always comes down to that for some
Do you
reason.
believe in parallels, like of things repeating and like, because you know the talking points in Packers land right now,
No.
because they're trying to cope with what happened.
Oh,
with the,
are you talking about this like 27 thing again?
no. Well,
Oh.
sort of. The parallels were 27. Bart Starr was 27 when he won his first Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Brett Favre,
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, right? The other parallel that they're trying to connect now is that in 2010, when the Packers won their Super Bowl, in the same fashion, we lost to a team that was under 500 or close to 500, who wasn't. We were expected to win. We lost by a field goal. In that same game, Jermichael Finley went out with an ACL or a knee injury for the whole season, which I did not want to sacrifice Tucker Kraft to the fantasy
Yeah.
gods or the football gods for this. But that's what the parallel is, that Tucker Kraft has now been sacrificed in the same way,
Jeez,
which I
jeez.
would have taken it back because I love Tucker Kraft and we're going to miss him for the year.
Interesting. No, I don't believe in parallels in that sense.
But if it was benefiting the Bears, then you'd be like,
maybe. I don't know. I think here's the thing is there can be patterns, right?
sure.
But I would again not believing in the conspiracy theories of how the NFL is rigged. I would like to think that sports is such an unpredictable
Oh, yeah.
event where it's hard to kind of like believe in that type of
Yeah.
pattern or parallel, as you would say. But I mean, I do think that, like you said, there are patterns, and one of the things I would say about like Bears is the pattern of just horrible quarterback play and bad hiring, bad coaches, and
seems to have ended.
we have good defenses and good run games, and I don't know, now it's like, where's our defense going? So I don't know.
We will see. But
Yeah.
there's still a lot of season left, and
Oh yeah.
we still have no answers on who's going to
Yeah,
take this
yeah,
one.
we are nowhere closer than where we were in the preseason
By
talks.
the stats right now, the Vikings are on the lead. I know we're technically in the leaderboard, like we
Yeah.
have the standings one higher, but they have 2 wins in the division.
Yeah.
And by the end of the year, they're going to go against us. They have a chance.
Yep. All right, cue up my fun fact of the day. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we have a rookie highlight because oh, that was
Bonus sound.
yeah, I like that rookie highlight. Because the Bears rookies, went off this week and they had breakout games. I am highlighting another rookie game, not season, rookie game by a Chicago Bears player, and that player is Gale Sayers. So Gale Sayers had one of the most memorable rookie games with a record-tying 6-touchdown performance
Wow.
against the San Francisco 49ers on December 12th, 1965. He had 4 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown, and a punt return touchdown.
What the did they have him in every position?
Yes, we did. 113 rushing yards off of 9 rushing attempts. He had 2 receptions for 89 receiving yards. A total of 5 punt returns for 134 punt return yards, bringing his total combined yards to 336 yards.
I'm shocked that he isn't punting and catching the ball himself or passing it to himself, because
I'm sure if they allowed it, if there were no rules against it probably would have.
Apparently
Just
there was
throw
rules
it up and and run for it.
Apparently, there was rules against tackling him. What the?
Yeah. So,
Good for him. Damn.
yeah, it says here this performance was a major highlight in a sensational rookie season that saw Sayers earn first-team All-Pro honors and be named the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. An additional fun fact is Sayers was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1977 at age 34, becoming the youngest player ever to receive the honor. So, kudos to Gale Sayers, one of the GOATs. But insane game, and yeah, that's our rookie game highlight. You know, because again, the Rooks went off this past weekend in Cincy. So
I
boom.
don't see any of them getting that kind of stat.
Yeah,
line,
to
though.
have that kind of game in this day and age just seems wow.
I mean, the ones that do play multiple positions can't make it through the season.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Absolutely.
good for him. He had a game.
Yeah, for sure.
Good rookie highlight.
For sure. Alrighty, well, that's going to do it for us. Any other additional thoughts, JC, that you want to throw out there before we get into week 10? Week 10, we're already at week 10.
Yeah, my notes, Matt LaFleur.
I'll get a shirt made for him, guys, so you don't have to, you could just, maybe a sign.
I'll get more posters. They'll be everywhere.
Alrighty.
I love Matt LaFleur, but I'm frustrated.
Maybe you should write him a letter and express your frustration.
I will. Actually, I think I will.
Get it all out, put it on paper, and send it to him.
To send it to Lambeau Field.
You never know. It may get there.
You know what? I'm gonna try.
Put a return address like IRS or something, so it feels important, and he's got to actually open it up.
I'll write it like it came from Aaron Rodgers or something.
Oh, okay.
You know, ayahuasca.
Yeah, from the ayahuasca resort.
Darkness retreat. Or COVID foot.
Oddly enough, me and my coworker talked about him today.
What was it about?
Because we went into one of the offices and it was dark, and I was like, "Come on in, let's have a ayahuasca retreat." And he was like, "Dude," and he was just telling me, he was like, "I've always loved him as a player.
I do too.
Man, but ever since he came out with all those statements with COVID, it was hard to root for him anymore." And I was just like, "Yeah, we've talked about that on the podcast. He was immunized."
He was gonna be the face of the NFL, and he got in his own way.
Yeah,
he was. I know for the Bears he wasn't, but just for the NFL, he was a likable person. But then we got to know who he truly was. And then we're like, oh.
And I told him because he was like, I've always loved him. And I was like, look, I can't ever say I love a Packers player. But I'll say I respect him, and I know that he was a tremendous talent, and he'll go down in Hall of Fame.
It's gonna be the Steelers or the Ravens, but I'm not gonna count Joe Flacco out, man.
I'm not counting the Bengals out either.
I'm counting the Browns out. That's just a terrible team.
Yeah,
they're the Browns, and they're never changing that.
Yeah, for sure. I think they kind of know that too.
And the fans are good. They're good. I love the fans, but that organization sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, we're back on the
All right. We're wrapping it up.
Bye,
because
guys.
we're already over the hour mark. So my bad, but deuces. We'll see you next week.
Deuces.